when your child won't eat? And many of you are not going to like my answer. But I think I'm going to give some tips that you're going to find very helpful, especially if you deal with this a lot in your toddler or preschooler. And I first want to acknowledge that this is a very, very tough topic, probably because of how we were raised, right? We were raised to think that there are starving children in Africa, so you better eat your food, right? But in reality, there's probably starving children no more than like 20 minutes from where you live. There's starving children everywhere, but we shouldn't be framing that to our child to get them to overeat, especially when they don't feel, when they're not feeling hungry. So, So I know it's a tough topic to talk about, but you know what? I really think it's more triggering to you, and at this point, because of the way you were raised or how you think about things, it's really subconscious. So you may not even know that it's very triggering to you when your child doesn't eat, because you think, oh my gosh, they're going to starve, they're going to be hungry, and I want to let you know that your child is not going to allow themselves to starve. They're not going to allow themselves to be hungry. So you should not... Man, I'm having a hard time speaking today. Your child's not going to let themselves starve, okay? So stop trying to force them to eat. That's what I'm trying to say. I was trying to say it in a more eloquent way, but you know what? That's just what I wanted to say. So here's a few things that I want to know, and it's about like healthy eating habits and around like body image. So hi there, I see someone join. Around healthy eating habits and body image. So the first thing is that when you teach your child that they need to eat, just because there's other kids starving, you're teaching them to eat when they're not really that hungry, and that just creates a really bad connection with food. And the next thing I want to talk about is like how parents will say, you're too skinny, you need to eat. Or if you eat that, you're going to get fat. And that is language that is very detrimental to children, because because you're pushing your worries and your body image issues onto them. And one of the greatest pieces of advice that I received, actually when I was pregnant with my first child, was that if you have issues with your body, you think you're too fat, you think you're too skinny, you think you're too ugly, your nose is too big, whatever, do not talk bad about yourself in front of your child. Because even if you don't talk bad about them, they're going to learn that habit, and they're going to think that there has to be something wrong with them, because they see their parents as perfect. And if you keep talking bad about yourself, they're going to eventually find something about themselves that they like. So you want to create a really healthy body image by not talking bad about yourself in front of your child, regardless of how you feel, so that they don't talk bad about themselves. So one tip I want to tell you about the whole eating thing is that teach your child how they feel when they're hungry, okay? So, and an important thing is when you're making dinner, right? There's some parents that are like, if you don't eat what we're having, then, you're just not gonna eat. And for some people, that might be a reality. But it's your job as a parent, if you're able, to put at least one thing on the table that they like. Put one thing on the table that they like, so that if they are hungry, they are going to eat. But the other thing is that you got to teach them how they feel when they're when they're full or when they're hungry. So a good way to do this is when they if they're going to eat something that they like, ask them, well, how does your belly feel after eating that? Oh, do you feel full? Because then you're going to give autonomy to them to help them recognize how they're feeling when they're feeling full or when they're feeling hungry. And if you give them that tool, then that's going to help them decide, at dinner time, if they are feeling really hungry or if they're just not feeling that hungry. Because again, your child is not going to let themselves starve. Okay, so give them that autonomy of teaching them, how do you feel? Like, how does your belly feel? Does it feel full? And then I know someone's going to say, oh, but what about snacking? They want to have dessert before they have dinner. And this is what I say. You really have to reframe the way that you speak to your child around dessert time. Because what a lot of parents do is they're like, you can have a cupcake if you eat your dinner. But I really want you to change your wording, because that's teaching a really unhealthy habit that, oh, I better eat all of my food, right? Then you're teaching them to become overeaters. And so that I can have that sweet thing, that thing that I really, really like. So switch it around. You instead say, yes, you can have that cupcake, or yes, you can have that cookie. You first need to eat your dinner, because it's important, and you can talk about this. It's important. I feel that it's important that you eat something healthy before you have something sweet. And you can even talk about in their terms how, their blood sugar. You don't want to talk about blood sugar, but you know what? Sometimes if you eat something really sweet without eating something healthy first, that's going to fill up your stomach a little bit, you're going to feel out of control. You may feel really, really good for a little bit, but then you kind of crash and you feel really yucky and you get in a really bad mood. So instead of you eat this cup to have your cupcake, you need to eat your dinner. You need to say, yes, you can have the cupcake, but first you need to have something healthy to eat. First you need to put something in your belly that's going to make it feel a little bit full, so that when you have the sweet thing, you're not going to have a really big, happy moment and really excited and then crash, okay? And then feel really yucky. So that's how I recommend you phrase that. And you got to hold strong too. You have to hold strong, because if you give in to the dessert before, your child is probably going to have like a blood sugar spike and then go down, and then they're throwing tantrums and you're trying to figure out why. But if you consistently just allow them that dessert before they eat anything else, then yeah, that's what they're going to be reaching for. So you got to hold strong and say, if you're hungry, or no, what I usually say to my son is that, you know what? I feel like you're kind of hungry because you can fit this cupcake in your belly, or you can fit this cookie in your belly. If you can fit that cupcake or your cookie in your belly, then I want you to eat something healthy first, okay? And hold strong. Yes, you can have the cupcake. First, you need to eat your dinner, okay? Hold strong so that they don't get one over on you. And the next thing is to have a consistent schedule. So I noticed, like, from when I would bring my toddler home from school, he would go through this huge chunk of day before we actually ate dinner. And before dinner came around, he was so hungry. He was just snacking on all kinds of things, so that when dinner came around, he wasn't hungry anymore. So make sure they're on a consistent schedule. And for us, that looked like as soon as we came home from school, we had a nice healthy snack. And so, I would put out, like, it's a piece of fruit and some crackers or something like that, so that would hold them over to dinner. Because again, you can't expect them to eat dinner if they just had a bunch of like cereal and like little bites and fruit snacks and all of that. They are full by then. They really are full by then. Um, and I think that's it. And I just want to talk about a little bit about my son and how I tell him, you know what, you don't have to eat, right? You don't have to eat this dinner. But I do hold strong on, if you want that cookie, you do need to eat the dinner. And last night, he didn't eat his dinner, and I was like, you know what? I know when we go to bed that he's gonna say that he's hungry. I know it, and I was ready for it. I was ready to say, you didn't eat your dinner. So, that's it, and it's time to go to bed now. But he didn't eat. He didn't eat. He wasn't hungry, and I didn't force that upon him. So trust your child. They're not going to allow themselves to starve, and they'll eat if they're hungry. Alrighty? It's just your job to give them, to at least have one thing on the table. Have one thing on the table that they like, so you give them that option to eat if they want to. All right. And that's all I have for you. If you have specific questions, a specific scenario, please ask me. And I'll answer it here. Just comment below and I will answer your questions. All right. Have a fantastic day and I will speak to you later. Oh, wait, no. I don't know what I'm doing, guys. How do I turn this off? Okay. And